behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Palm Mash TV. Palm Mash TV.
Well, hello there. It's Palm Mash TV time again. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode. We're glad to have you here today. We've got a great interview coming up for you in just a moment, but as always, if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button and the bell. And anytime a new episode comes your way, you'll be notified, and feel free to leave a comment on the comment section if you'd like. And be sure to follow us at Facebook. That's facebook.com/PalmMashTV. And besides following us there, you can also send us an inbox and comment the things you see there. And obviously you can email us as well, palmmashtv, all one word, at gmail.com. And if you're a band or solo artist that want to be on the show, just send us an email and we'll show you how to do that. But we love fan mail as well, so if you're simply a fan, you can talk to us there and we'll contact you as quickly as we can. And all this is going to be recapped at the closing credits at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. From Tulsa, Oklahoma, we have Had Enough on the show, and great artist, and I think you're going to agree. And we'll get to that in 1 second as it starts right now. Okay, here we are with the interview as promised, and with us from Tulsa, Oklahoma, we have Had Enough today. Thanks for joining us, Had Enough.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, no problem. We're glad to have you here. Mm-hmm. Tell us how it all began for you, because all artists have their own story on how they started in the music business. Tell us a little bit about yours.
All right. I'll make a long story short. It started in high school. I guess to be honest, it started probably about 11 or 12. I had a little obsession with Weird Al Yankovic, so I liked making parodies of songs, and it was just something I was doing in my garage. And then when I was in high school, I was real big on being in a band, and that was kind of my objective. So after high school, I played in some bands, learned a little bit over the years. Got a chance to do a tour, and then just about 2008, I just got more into writing lyrics because I was doing metal, and not many people can understand lyrics from metal. So, but I was also a big hip hop fan. I was a big fan of like Bone Thugs, Wu-Tang, NWA, Ghetto Boys, just to name a few. And so, so a lot of those, and of course, like Dr. Dre, Eminem, a lot of those influences kind of came a little bit on a higher scale for me. So, and I was working at a job I really hated, so that was the first song I wrote. So that was that's really the start of it. And then the name Had Enough, I just didn't want a typical rapper name, so I said, well, what would be a name that would sound like a hardcore punk band? And so that's kind of how I started with that. It just slowly, gradually went from there. I will say that being in a band gave me some advantages. And when I do shows with a lot of new rappers, there's just a lot of education that they don't quite get, So I think when you're in a band, you kind of operate things a little differently. Definitely, merchandise. So there's just and other rappers I know who used to do other genres and stuff like that. So that kind of helps because you just operate from a different like mind frame, I think. Mm-hmm. So and I was always a promoter. So just doing my own shows wasn't a hard thing, and really just graduated from there. I just slowly kind of progressed. I guess there's not really much else to say. That's really how I got started.
Okay, and you mentioned being obsessed with Weird Al. I mean, if anybody was obsessed about it, it was me too, because all I lived and breathed was Weird Al back in the day. And
yeah,
matter of fact, on my show, I actually had John Bermuda Schwartz and Jim West on my show. The drummer and the guitarist. So, so I couldn't get anybody else from the band though.
Yeah, well, I grew up. I was born in the '80s, so that was kind of like the height of his career. I remember watching the UHF movie.
Yeah,
and he was. That was like the height of his career, like in the '80s, coming up to the '90s. So I think just as a kid, I've always had a sense of humor, so I always appreciated it. Like I'm a big Nirvana fan, but I liked how he made fun of Nirvana. So you know what I mean? Coolio. I remember when I was 12, I thought Coolio was the coolest thing ever, and then he did the Amish Paradise parody. So I guess with me was as I got older and I started to like understand things more like music, I started to appreciate like how on point it was. It wasn't like the talent that him and his band had when it came to making music, even when it was just a parody. You know, it wasn't horrible. It was actually really well done. So it was like you're making a parody of popular music while being good at music is the best way I can explain it.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about your. I mean, well, you already mentioned like Weird Al and all that, the Wu Tang. Were there any other influences that inspired you?
Well, I did metal for a while, so I was a huge fan of like Lamb of God, Metallica, Pantera, Slayer, so Anthrax. Like, so I grew up on a lot of metal. So I was really in high school. My because we had I had a Discman, so in high school, I mean, around the time I went to high school, we all had CD collections, like in booklets and stuff like that. And so mine was always probably more diverse. I think most kids I went to school with, like, I had hip hop, I had metal, I had punk, I had some pop punk too. So, so I grew up listening to a lot of different genres and like just getting a different, different genres, kind of depending on my mood and what I was into. But so I've always been kind of like a hip hop metal guy, and so so yeah, and I guess to answer your question, like I still got influences like Korn and Slipknot, just with what I'm doing right now. But anyway, with the but that's really the basis of it. Obviously, I'm a big horror movie fan, and so there's definitely songs I've written that are influenced by some of my favorite horror films. So that's a big part of my style as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we do all genres here on my show, so it's good,
Nice, nice.
well rounded there.
Yeah.
Um, well, as far as your music goes, I mean, can you go to all the streaming sites, get any CDs, go on all social media sites, so on?
Oh
Let
yeah.
me know about that.
Yeah. Yeah, my music's on all the like the Spotify's and iTunes, CDs. I tell everybody, regardless of what anyone tells you, CDs still sell.
Yes.
So people still love CDs. So I'll always print those. But yeah, I've even done the Bandcamp. I don't get a whole lot of traffic on Bandcamp, but I utilize that for just the occasion someone discovers me on there or just prefers it over Spotify. So
Okay. Well, if you go out to all those streaming sites, as he said, just download Had Enough. I'm sure that he will love you for that, and also follow him on all those social media sites as well.
yeah.
And and we're getting ready to watch your music video. I think it's called Thought Criminal. Tell us
Yep.
a little story about that song.
All right. Well, I wrote that in 2020 when we were dealing with the lockdown. Um, and I was when I was younger, I read a book called 1984 by George Orwell,
Hmm.
and I'm at home, and so I'm YouTubing it. I'm on Netflix or something. I'm just trying to stay entertained, and I was working on a mixtape. This is on. You can get this as well. It's called Stir Crazy. So I basically wrote a whole mixtape compilation. It was all about being stuck at home and stuff like that. And I would collaborate with all my hip hop friends. So I would send emails back and forth verses, and so we could collaborate while still having to socially distance, so to speak. So so I watched. So I saw. I never saw it in the movie. So I watched it, and I was really super into it, and I kind of felt like, man, I kind of felt like we're heading this direction. So I was kind of inspired by that, and so I wrote the song called "Thought Criminal" because that's who the main character was. That's his title. That's how they looked at him. They didn't consider him a person. So I wrote that, and then there's references in the song to different things, like different things in the music industry. Just some really bold things that I believe in, and that's and that's what I did. videographer. We shot the video in his bedroom. He had two lights that you'd usually use for like a photo shoot, and so it kind of made it look like I'm in the middle of nowhere, almost like, it's up to the viewer to kind of decide where they think where I'm at. So that's really the background of it. So, but it's one of my favorite songs I put out, and it's definitely one of my favorite videos.
Okay, well, it is a great song, and we'll be getting to that in just a moment or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's all I really need right now. We want to thank you for being on the show. Had enough, and
thank you. Just want to do more drop. I am releasing a new album called Unholy Vibes. It'll be October the 12th. And that's the next project I have going on. I'll be releasing some content this month, as far as a few singles, some videos and stuff like that. So I do have new music coming.
Okay, well, if you follow him on all those social media sites, as I've said before, he'll give you the updates on that, and you can go out.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have you back again sometime. Had enough. If you got anything new to plug, maybe by the time that CD's out, maybe we'll plug that for you or something.
Oh yeah, I have a 10-day tour coming up, and I've got new stuff I'm working on for next year. So I always got something going on. So
okay, all right. Well, without further ado, here's Thought Criminal, and it starts right now.
Take him instead of me. He's the thought criminal. It's him you want.
I use IG to network, not stalk my last ex. I don't fake it to make it, that's a whack flex. I don't lip sync, I actually perform a rap set with lyrics that'll steal your heart like the Aztecs. They try to shut me out like nothing more than a whore in a corner. I forewarned them, I'll be back to cook them up like George Foreman. Shelter for torn corpses like a forced abortion. I'll never switch my convictions for a corporate endorsements. I'm the reason it gets dark and storms at night, making cocky rappers nervous and sorta nice. Drug use over lyrical substance, that's poor advice. Kids be dying from lean before you pour the Sprite. It's a severe sin when I get to the pad and pen again. It's more than rap, it's rap and I win again. Pour blood of my victims is what y'all swimming in. The flow dirty like the water in Flint, Michigan.
It's showtime, so it's time to get hyped now. It's like that now. It's showtime, time to get hyped. Oh yeah, it's showtime, so it's time to get hyped now. It's like that now. It's showtime, time to get hyped. We gon' set this off.
Been speaking my mind, just now they notice me. I reject all the false prophets and the whole scene. We live in a world of injustice and no peace. I won't apologize for speaking against lies I don't believe. Y'all like to flex but won't roll up your sleeves. Hollywood is cool and all, but they got you so deceived. Weinstein and Cosby ain't the only creeps. The celebrities you worship like to touch kids like Roman priests. You post pics with your homies holding drinks. Just ask Tupac how much you can trust your closest peeps. Don't cry if your girl goes ghost in a week. Even the love of your life can set you up, soaked in bleach. Every line I wrote, I go for the throat, so to speak. Silence the new speak and don't forget to roast the sheep. I keep my eyes open, the word is just a broken speech. So take control like Corona when they close